Kia ora, StAC Hoopers. You're about to be hearing from four fantastic young men who have all had US collegiate basketball experiences in the last decade. Now, these four have all gone through, got their degrees, and ended up playing professional basketball in different parts of the globe. I know they're all happy to be reached out to, but my advice would be is if you are serious about going to the US, that you try and enlist as many different perspectives as you can. So sit back, listen to the questions that they're about to answer, and please reach out to me if you've got any further questions or queries.
The recruiting process for me was honestly filled with mixed emotions. Obviously wanted to get over to college. I wanted to do that for a really long time, but just didn't really know about the system and how to get my name out there. And unfortunately, I was playing with the Tall Blacks, the national team at the time, and had a pretty good tournament, on the world stage. So a lot of schools kind of took notice, and kind of when two big schools take notice, a lot of other schools start listening and paying attention to you. So I mean, once those schools kind of came along, and I had some respectable schools around, it was definitely everything was good, But in the beginning, it was definitely a stressful process for me, just hoping that schools even would bother to recruit me. I think some red flags to watch out for are definitely the schools that are just telling you everything that you want to hear, sugarcoating everything and selling you the dream at the end of the day. There's no promises in this at all. So I think it's important to, just figure out which schools are kind of keeping it real and what schools are kind of just trying to sell the dream, which can be, hard to distinguish. Definitely, I had no idea about the recruiting process going into it, and what was going to be promised to me, and how schools would bring out all the stops, and make it seem like the most amazing place in the world. But I think definitely just the schools to watch out for are the ones that are promising you everything, right from the get go. For me, the best part about being away from home was probably just the space it kind of gave me to grow. I went there as a boy and kind of left as a young man, I think, in a lot of different ways, but especially, emotionally, spending all that time alone, having good times over there, but also having, some dark down times over there definitely molded me as a person as well as a basketball player. I think most importantly, it just made me step out of my comfort zone in a lot of different areas, and kind of forced me to grow up and, shape myself as a young man. But at the same time, the hardest part is also going through that, and you feel like you're alone a lot, and you're missing things like Christmases, you're missing family, you're missing friends, you're away from all that stuff. So it definitely takes a emotional toll on you on that aspect. You feel like you're missing out on lots of different things, but it's at the end of the day, it's just a sacrifice. You got to remember what mission you're on and what you're trying to achieve and what's important to you. I think the main pro about where I went to college was the fact that it was in the Big Ten. So I knew from the jump it was going to be, the best competition college-wise, college basketball-wise in America. It was the highest ranked league. So I knew, every game was going to be a big one for me, and it was going to be a chance for me to get better, and it was going to be a chance for me to test myself against the best players in America. Con about going to Nebraska probably would just be, not that there was many cons. I think maybe just where Nebraska was, dead set in the middle of the United States. Maybe if I had gone to somewhere, I don't know, maybe on the West Coast or something, it would have felt a little more homey and, a little more like New Zealand, and it would have made things easier. But especially to like get home and stuff, it was a long travel time to go, from little old New Zealand all the way to the middle of the United States. Balancing the expectations from, the coaches and on the court and in the classroom from teachers and stuff like that was definitely something that took me a while to get used to. I was always kind of the type of person to put my head onto one thing and kind of focus on that, and I was kind of consumed by basketball and getting better. Had that mentality that I was just there to, play basketball, and in actual fact, they always kind of drill it in your head that you're student athlete, and the student always comes first. So, and there's rules against, like you have to attain a certain GPA to even be able to step out there on the court. So that was definitely a tough thing for me to get my head around. Struggled with it for a long time, but a school like Nebraska, they're going to do everything they can to help you academically. There's tutors you can go to, there's study hall you have to go to every day as a freshman anyway, so you're going to get those hours in regardless. As for expectations on the court, those are kind of, always going to stay high, and it's going to feel like you're never really, succeeding. And that's a good thing. They're always going to push you to go above and beyond and do more than what you're capable, what you think you're capable of. I think the biggest adjustment to make from New Zealand high school to US college is just kind of the seriousness of it all. I think, back home in New Zealand, high school is kind of, easy breezy, and, things will be all right. You just kind of got to do your best. And in a lot of ways, college gets you, and gets you ready for the real world, not only professionally in sports, but just professionally in life. There's a lot riding on the exams and tests and stuff, and how you perform in the classroom, but and also there's a lot riding on your sport. It could set you up to have a good professional career. So I'd definitely just say the seriousness of it all. It's definitely got a lot more riding on it than high school in New Zealand, I would say. Currently playing in Lithuania in a city called Kaunas for a team called Žalgiris. We play in the local Lithuanian league, and we also play in the Euro League, which is one of the biggest competitions outside of the NBA. Especially in Europe, it's kind of the real deal for me. And one of my goals was definitely to make it to the Euro League, and came true for me this summer. And I'm just working on solidifying myself here in the Euro League, and hopefully things work out. I can carry on with my career here, and get better and make more steps in the right directions of following my goals and dreams.
StAC Fotu here, professional basketball player over in Japan at the moment, and Benji's just asked me to say some words about my experience in college. I heard you being recruited to Hawaii, and that's where I went. I went to UH in 2012 for 2 years. I wish it was longer, but something came up. But yeah, it was the recruiting process for me was everything was new. I didn't know what was going on. I was the first one in my family to go to college, and at the time not many Kiwis were in college, so it was all new. But I took recruiting visits to Hawaii and St. Louis, and as soon as I got to Hawaii, I think I knew that's where I wanted to go to college. It was quite similar to New Zealand, not too far, but it was just beautiful. And they took me to the beach, and it was just, the college was amazing. I really got along with the coaches there, and it just felt like the best fit for me. And some advice with that, I think, would be to just do your research. Try to find out everything about the college, about the coaches, about academics, where you'll be staying, everything, so nothing is a surprise. Make sure it's the perfect situation for you. Make sure you'll play there, and make sure you'll enjoy it, because you're probably going to be there for the next 4 years. What else? One pro and one con about going to Hawaii. I think one con was the travel. You're in a conference with all mainland teams from the USA, and that's at least a 5-hour flight. So the travel was always a bit of a mission, and doing your school on the road was always hard. Just added to it. But a pro is just being in Hawaii. It's a beautiful place. The people are cool, and it's just a great place to go, in my opinion. Academically, I think your first year in college, out of high school, will be quite similar to high school. You know, you take some general subjects, and you have an academic advisor who will definitely help you along the way. Mine was a huge help. But some advice for that is just stay in contact with your professors. You know, they usually like to help out, especially student athletes. They know how much we have practices and we're away, so most of them will go out their way to help you out. So I think just reaching out to them and asking for help never hurts anyone. And I'm excited for you. You know, it'll be all new for you, but you're going to college, and I would definitely recommend Hawaii if that's the route you want to go. It's an amazing place. I loved my 2 years there. I wish I could have stayed longer, but looking back, it was some of the best years of my life, and I don't regret going there at all. I really enjoyed it. But I think that's all there is to. If you need any other questions, if you have any questions for me, just Benji knows my Instagram, so just hit me up. I'll be happy to help. So good luck.
What's up, guys? Jack Salt here. I'm sure most of you have heard me speak before, but if you haven't, I went to the University of Virginia. I was there for 5 years, and Mr. Eves tells me that a few of you guys are being recruited from American colleges right now. So he sent me out some questions, and I'm just going to answer through them. Hopefully it helps you along your journey. So first question here, what was the recruiting process like for you? For me, it was pretty hectic. I was fortunate enough to play for the Tall Blacks at 17s. That put a lot of exposure on me. So just dealing with calls a lot, things in the mail. But the biggest thing that I wanted to do was go on a recruiting visit so I could just make a decision and honestly kind of get it over with. One of the biggest schools that I was talking to pulled out last minute on me. So it kind of, fortunately enough, my mum financially could send me over with her. So we went to look at 2 schools, Virginia and St. Mary's. I went on my visit to Virginia. It was unofficial. I loved it. And I committed there at the end of my visit. So I ended up not visiting the other school, which was St. Mary's. What are some red flags to watch out for? Headphone. Red flags. I think it's just know that all the coaches are going to be selling and trying to make their program sound as good as possible. So I think it's important to get a vibe of what the coach feels like to you. Like when he's talking to you, do you believe he or she's genuine? But the biggest thing is really just look at the record and look at all things that no matter what the coach is saying, I mean, he can't, if 8 guys or girls have transferred out of the school, I mean, it's a pretty big sign that something's going on there. And if he's not willing to talk about it, of why maybe so many players are transferring, that could be a red flag. So that'd probably be the biggest one, I'd say. What was the best and hardest part being away from home? For me, I don't think I really got homesick at all while I was in Virginia. I was very fortunate where I met a lot of really cool people, and the basketball program at Virginia really cared about their players, not just because they were basketball players, but they were genuinely just good people. So, I mean, the hardest part was just missing holidays. So I'd see my family on holiday for Christmas, or everyone would catch up for birthdays, and seeing all the photos was kind of hard. So that was probably the toughest thing. And the best part was just being in America and being able to travel, or for me, all along the East Coast to play basketball. I met friends who lived in different parts of America. One of them even lived in Canada, so being able to travel was pretty awesome. Academically, what will set you up for success both in New Zealand and once you get to college? Honestly, I can't speak on the pathway really anymore because I've heard it's changed quite a bit. Like I was speaking to a young guy on the Bullets team, and he said you don't even have to sit your SAT or ACTs. So for me, you had to sit one, and then if it was a high enough level, you'd go over. I sat both. Fortunate enough, on the first time I got through, and just making sure all your New Zealand high school stuff, it's all you're passing or whatever level it needs to be, because at the end of the day, if you don't get whatever level is needed, which I don't know what that is anymore because I'm old, but just put the effort in, because if that's the thing that stops you from going to America, you're going to really regret it when you're older, because it may be hard for you, but a year of work in order to get 4 years or 5 years of college is worth it. So I hope you guys can all get that, whatever that equivalent level of academics is done. How hard is it to balance expectations both in the court and in the classroom? For my school, it was honestly pretty easy, but that's because firstly, I was set up when I went to Westlake. My school was quite an academic school, I feel, so I was pretty well set up there. And when I got to Virginia, I was at a big program, so we had a lot of help. I mean, if you started failing a class, you'd have an advisor on you, you'd have the manager on you, and everyone would be like, yo, what's going on? Like, we'll get you for tutoring straight away. But that might not always be the case if you go to a school that doesn't have that many resources. So I would say it does take, you do have to up your organizational skills just because you are so busy. No matter what level of school you go to, you're going to have training, school, and you're going to want to have a social life as well. Because I had a social life too. I mean, you balance all that, but you just learn how to balance it and how to be productive with your time. And I mean, just not always leaving things to the very last minute, because it gets pretty stressful. I mean, I did that early on, but I realized pretty quick it gets pretty stressful. So just learning how to be better with your, better managing your time will help out a lot. What is the biggest adjustment to make from NZ high school to US college? For me, US college was much similar to the NCAA pathway. I did a different pathway in high school that was mainly based on exams, but the classes I in were more based on projects, group presentations, and some of them were heavily weighted by exams, but it was a bit of a mixture. So I don't know what you guys do in school now. I mean, you probably do NCAA, so I'd say it's pretty similar to that. Obviously just a little bit harder because you're older, a little bit more information. But if you do something you're interested in, it doesn't really feel like boring work because you get to choose. Where am I hooping now? I am playing for the Brisbane Bullets. We are 4 games into the season right now. I haven't played that much on the court. I mean, I only played in the first game, played quite a bit in a decent amount in preseason, but I'm optimistic.
Hey guys, Matt Freeman here. Just thought I'd touch on a few questions and stuff, maybe give you guys a little insight over my sort of experience over the last few years with college and playing pro. So just to get started, going back to the recruiting process in college, for me it was a lot of, sort of getting exposure through certain tournaments and things that I played, through New Zealand teams and taking teams from New Zealand over to the States to play in, various tournaments and things like that. And great exposure in those sort of things. Just trying to, get your name out there as much as you can. Red flags. I mean, there's a few big ones. I think looking back now is like, you want to be more kind of in tune with which schools you really feel like want you the most. I think some good ways of telling that is like how frequently they communicate to you, how early in the process they've been talking to you. Like a lot of, you might have a strong tournament, later on, and, a bunch of better schools might start hitting you up, and you think, oh, I want this school, like I like this school, but actually, they might end up recruiting over you and things like that, because they weren't huge on your priority list to begin with. So I think some great sort of keys are looking at the teams that really communicate to you frequently and show you through that sort of persistence of desire to have you on their team that, like, this is a team that wants you, and good sort of indicator of, this is a school that I'm going to play a lot and be a part of this team. And, at the end of the day, like, that's going to, I think, make the whole experience just more enjoyable for you. Being away from home, it's not for everyone, but, it's just something you got to get used to. And at the end of the day, when basketball is your biggest passion, and you just love hooping, it's something that, obviously you have your bad days, but it's just something you get used to. And pro and con about where I went to college. I went to 2 different colleges. So I started off at Oklahoma. I had a great experience there, but I just wanted to have my last year of a much bigger role, and saw the opportunity to do that at Santa Barbara. So did that, and just had a great last year. But overall, I think the whole college experience, it's a great experience no matter where you go. I think, but at the same time, if you're going, if your full purpose is going there to make something out of basketball, then make that your biggest priority, and choose somewhere that is, in your eyes, going to help maximize your potential on the basketball court. Academically, I think, like, obviously, university is a step up in terms of academics, so you have to be prepared to pass grades and things like that, especially in college. I I didn't ever really have a problem with it. But if you don't do well enough in your classes and stuff, you're not going to be able to play and things like that. So, it's just being disciplined to stay balanced and make sure you pass your classes and all that sort of stuff. How hard is it to balance that stuff? It's just time management, obviously, the basketball schedule is, it gets hectic and stuff, but, there is always time. And at the end of the day, like, it's a grind, and if you want it bad enough, you'll make the sacrifices to, I've got an exam the next day, or I've got an exam in a few days, I can't afford to go to this party or go out with my mates or anything like that. Like, sometimes you just got to, put something on hold and focus on the task at hand and just get it done. And, that sort of stuff will always be there. You don't want to flunk tests and find that you can't play, and do that sort of thing. Biggest adjustment from high school in New Zealand to US college. It's hard for me to say academically. Obviously it's a step up because it's from high school to university, so it's more work. But in terms of basketball, it's you're dealing with just bigger athletes and just a larger pool of, across the board guys who can really hoop. I think even you come across some walk-ons and guys who aren't even really on the roster who are some decent players, so I think it's just going in with, being prepared to go in with a killer mindset and, build up your confidence as much as you can and just start to show that confidence on the court, because, there's so many people, so many college kids playing basketball in the States, and you don't just want to be another number. So you got to do all the little things and that other people might not, make those sacrifices. And then, where I'm hooping now. So I'm in Germany at the moment, second league Germany. Loving it. Just love being back. I've dealt with a lot of injuries, really unlucky injuries the last couple of years. So I've had a few setbacks, and I'm just grateful that I'm still able to be hooping now. My body feels great now. I'm in great shape and playing really well. And for me now, it's just climbing the ladder and eventually getting to where I want to be. But you have setbacks, and everyone has setbacks. Maybe not everyone. Some people get lucky. I don't know, but I've certainly had my fair share now. But it's just the beginning for me. But thanks guys. Thanks for your time. Appreciate it.